Good morning. Um, Today's first lecture in this room is about virtualization. Thank you for coming. In the beginning, I thought I will have this talk with an empty room because it's day 4 and, well, we are all tired. So, thank you again for coming. So what's about virtualization? I mean, virtualization is a technique you can use in computing for a broad field of applications. And of course, we are a hacker conference, so I'm trying to give you an introduction, like a sneak preview in the techniques of virtualization. So beginning, first question which arrives is, of course, what's virtualization? Virtualization is a framework or methodology of dividing the resources of a computer into multiple execution environments. Means you part the time, the bandwidth, everything which is inside the computer or can be accessed into small parts and give them away. Okay, what techniques are we using there? First, you probably think, yeah, well, I'm doing that the same at my home because my NEOS insert does concurrent time sharing, gives the hard disks to other processes, so that's quite fun. But virtualization is about running multiple operating systems at the same time. So, what can we do with it? Of course, the field of application for virtualization is quite broad. In a business meaning, first thing ever mentioned is, of course, server consolidation. You can put all of your 20 boxes into a few ones, and of course, this is good for business, this is good for administration. You can run your legacy applications. I mean, there are always some old, I don't know, MS-DOS programs, and you have that specific application built on it. And first, you need a hardware on top of you would like to run it. This is becoming more difficult anytime the PC is advancing. Wow, okay. So you put it in the box, and this box is an idealist machine, and you run this box on a real box. So that's about legacy applications. Of course, web browsing always gets more insecure. So what can you do with virtualization in this field? You simply put a box, meaning a virtualized hardware, a virtualized operating system, and a browser. And you can safely browse through the internet. If something happens, it happens inside the box. As soon as you're finished, reset it. So, for instance, VMware has recently announced the VMware Player, I think. And there are pre-built images you can use exactly for this task. Just browse. Use Firefox in a virtual machine. don't be afraid of some viruses or worms or whatever. Of course, application mobility means virtualization gives us the power to move machines and, of course, the applications running on top of it from one machine to another. So that's quite cool, because if you want to maintain that server, and of course there's one critical application running on it, just move it to another server. Testing and debugging environments, always good to have a deep look inside the operating system while it is running. It's always a little bit complicated if you are working on the system. So it's a handy tool to get into a system without having the hassles of, well, something went wrong. Okay, I have to reboot my machine. You can make clean single application, single service environments. I mean, you don't have to set up your eierlegende Wollmilchsau. Okay, German native speakers would understand this. Basically an animal which gives you everything you want. You don't, I mean, it's good, but on the other hand, it's quite complicated to administer. So if you separate every reasonable service from each other, you have small machines which are quite clean to understand and easy to maintain. Nevertheless, the things businessmen always try to hammer in your brain what virtualization can make to you. It also gives you the freedom of choice in using multiple operating systems at once. Maybe you don't need this, but it's handy in case, okay, this program doesn't work on this platform, but I have another platform running, and well, I have 3 platforms running on my iBook, and it's okay. I can choose whatever application I want on whatever operating system I want. It's also a soft, I call it soft user migration path. So you migrate the user from one operating system to another. The point is, yeah, at one time you must switch over, and maybe it helps if you can run Linux for the first time in a box on top of your Windows machine and get a little bit used to it without having that hassle, and it has to be the only operating system and stuff like that. Last but not least, virtualization is funny. I mean, at least for me. Okay. Next thing, what I want to talk about is a little bit of theory. Don't bother, it won't be long. I mean, at least 5 minutes. Afterwards, we are looking how we can achieve the techniques used in virtualization and what is used inside the machine monitor. And afterwards, we have some outlook into the future and what possible could happen in the future, in my opinion. But let's have a look at the theory. Some smart people have make their brain think a little bit more, and they found for a hardware platform there are three main criteria if this hardware platform is good for virtualization. So the first method is executing non-privileged instructions must have the same binary form in user mode or in system mode. This is a quite easy one. Most architectures fulfill it. Second, there must be a protection system or an address translation system to protect the real system and any other virtual machine from each other. Again, nothing very unusual in modern processor architecture. Third, there must be a way to automatically signal the virtual machine monitor. The virtual machine monitor, by the way, is that thing that runs on top of the hardware and that coordinates which machine now runs and has probably access to the hardware. So there must be a way to automatically signal the virtual machine monitor when a virtual machine attempts to execute a sensitive instruction. So what's a sensitive instruction? Basically everything which alters the state of the CPU, which alters the state of memory management, protection, and of course I/O. So instructions that attempt to change or reference the mode of the virtual machine or the state of the machine. Instructions that read and change sensitive registers and or memory locations. Storage protection system, memory system, and last but not least, I/O instructions. So, still does not look very sophisticated. We should do this on the Intel x86. So, there are many people who have looked into it, and well, most processor architectures today have no problem with the three criteria mentioned before, but well, x86 is different. There are there are 17 privileged instructions that do not trap into user mode. In user mode, which means trap means if the processor executes these sensitive instructions, for instance, switch to another processor mode, well, you should not do this in user mode, or at least if you try this, the processor should raise an exception, and the monitor should give him a chance to emulate the desired behavior. Also, all 17 instructions violate either part B or part C. That's about it's leaking information. So it basically just means it leaks information of the current processor state, which is not bad, but in specific it's bad because programs would like to use this information and would be misguided. So basically the x86 processor architecture is non-virtualization able. Bad news, but mainly my talk is about the x86 processor architecture today. So there are